Bruce Lee was more than a martial artist. He was a movement scientist. In the 60s, he ripped off traditional kodosan forms to distill body mechanics into pure efficiency. Torque from the hips. Kinetic, linking through the chain, from feet to fists. Today's fighters build on similar biomechanics with force plate analysis, electromyography, and GPS-tracked sparring loads. If Lee had access to periodized strength and power programming Olympic lifts, plyometrics tied to speed-power curve sheet, likely elevate his already legendary explosive output even further. Imagine Lee's infamous 1-inch punch recalibrated by velocity. Base training, a concentric bench press against a linear potentiometer, unlocking a staggering 1/500W wave, upper body power. He integrates Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu with the same open concept approach he applied to boxing. His counters become multi-vector. His Muay Thai knee strikes, already notorious in Hong Kong cinema, now leverage clinch break protocols and Thai pad circuits measuring strike force in newtons. His calf and hamstring conditioning would be fine-tuned with Nordic curls and eccentric overload, boosting his kick speed beyond the 600 RPM his students once clocked on vintage speed bag tests. His stop-hit intercepts might fracture the rhythm of elite kickboxers accustomed to signature head kick setups. He integrates leg kicks, not his traditional weapon but, courtesy of modern shin conditioning protocols. Each calf blow registers 1,200 psi on the impact pad. Even now, imagine him drawing on breath control techniques from his Jeet Kune Do notes, circular breathing drills that sustain his energy levels while opponents gasp in lactic acid torment. This slows the opponent's lead leg, opening the door for walking elbow strikes in close quarters. Then, when the fight hits the canvas, he'd flow from butterfly guard to butterfly sweep, using his famed flow state reflexes to turn under pressure, transforming familiar Jeet Kune Do trapping into ground transitions that catch training partners off guard. He once wrote that, to know oneself is to study oneself in action with another person. Today's fighters hire full-time sports psychologists, employ pre-fight hypnosis, and even use virtual reality exposure therapy to simulate cage scenarios. Lee's mind training would be equally advanced immersive VR sparring with AI avatars that adapt to his counters in milliseconds. He traps one arm, delivers a knee to the solar plexus, and exits with a slick pivotous hip escaping the cage wall with textbook smash defense. The contrast is cinematic. A martial arts philosopher in the throes of 21st century combat. Nutrition-wise, he'd swap whole food carb cycling and macro tracking apps for tailored glycemic index, mealtime, and so his muscle glycogen peaks precisely at fight time, and his lipolysis fires off immediately in the later rounds. Modern fighters average 4 seconds to reset. Lee does it in under 2 seconds, leaving them spinning. He's already scanned the opponent's pre-fight gait, noted their breathing pattern, and mentally rehearsed multiple contingency drills. If they feint left, he hooks. If they shoot, he sprawls and whips across. If they circle, he cuts the cage. This is more than trash talk. It's a battle of wits executed at 1,500 FPS in Bruce's brain. He throws probing, straight leads, measuring distance, and slips a counter left that snaps the head of a seasoned UFC. Here we see his famed stop hits, collapsing the pocket before the opponent can unload. Modern fighters, drilled in throwing, combination jab crosshook, find themselves repeatedly caught mid-weave. Mentally, Lee was a pioneer of sports psychology. His be-water mantra trained him to let go of tension and adapt instantaneously, something today's fighters cultivate with neurofeedback and heart rate variability training, and kicks, trapping hands, and fluid counters. Yet he rarely trained ground grappling. His ERA didn't emphasize wrestling cross-training. Enter modern MMA where leg locks, guillotines, and ground and pound define victory. Would Lee's sticky hands tangle work in the clinch against a world-class wrestler? Could he scramble off his back with the same alacrity he darted around boxing rings? Picture him in a modern flow state session, biohacking alpha wave induction via binaural beats before a high-intensity interval sparring circuit. With these tools, Lee would not only maintain his legendary 1/10,000th second reaction time but perhaps refine it to truly uncanny levels. Bruce Lee's Jeet Kune Do was at its core a hybrid philosophy, intercepting with straight punches. Let's choreograph a hypothetical training montage. Lee spends his mornings on takedown defense, drilling sprawling under double leg attacks, using his lightning base to drive opponents past his hip. In stand-up exchanges, Lee's footwork, sidesteps, pivots, low stances would punish square toe stances of some modern fighters. Lee stalks in with footwork like a coiled viper ear heel off the mat, leads shoulder high for head movement. By round 2, fatigue sets in. Opponents try to roughly up in the Thai-style clinch, but he counters with underhooks, creating frame and angle. As they scramble to the ground, Lee demonstrates a butterfly guard trap. He catches a double leg attempt with a shin guard collapse, then inverts to a technical stand-up, popping back to his feet faster than the referee's count. By rounds 4 to 5, Lee's game plan evolves. In sudden victory, extra rounds, Lee's key endurance is legendary. Throughout, camera-style ring announcer, narration highlights Lee S. Biometric data in real time, heart rate staying steady at 145 beat, strike accuracy at 52%, takedown defense at 89%. Bruce Lee understood that the battlefield begins in the mind. Picture Lee entering the octagon after a silent walkout, eyes closed in a brief center circle meditation. In fight, he uses feints as decoys, baiting opponents into committing, then traps their limb with lightning trap and counter sequences. Between rounds, his corner not only tapes his wrists, but also cues, subtle breathing, triggers, diaphragmatic inhales that flush lactic acid and sharpen focus for the next minute of war. The arena's H4NM, pulse steel octagonums. To life, Lee breezes in, clad in modern fight shorts and minimalist grappling gloves. He feints a rear cross, only to snatch his opponent's jab with a trapping hand flick, then unloads a side kick to the thigh, and immediately springs back with a blistering three-punch flurry, a jab that snaps the head, a hook to the ribs, and a spinning back fist that echoes the choreography of his film days. We hear the audio, sensors thwack, and the crowd gasps. Across the cage, a top-ranked middleweight awaits, fists wrapped in reinforced tape and gloves, laced with impact sensors. In 2025, his victory would spark a renaissance. Fighters of every discipline, embracing cross-pollination, boxers learning BJ, wrestlers adopting Muay Thai clinch drills, and jiu-jitsu practitioners exploring Jeet Kune Do's intercepting concepts. Lee's relentless quest for efficiency, for personal expression. In today's world of data-driven fight camps and performance labs, he would not merely adapt, he would revolutionize. And in that, we find the enduring lesson. True mastery is never bound by time or rule set. It flows, it grows, it conquers. And for mental clarity continues to challenge us. In combat, as in life, be formless, shapeless, like water. Lee crouches and the opponent, sensing desperation, lunges a mistake. Lee diffuses with a perfectly timed teep kick, then flies in with a 1-inch punch variant, generated with modern velocity train data, that rocks the opponent. The ref waves it off. Bruce Lee, alive today, wins by TKO. The bell rings. On the mat, Lee frames out, re-establishes guard, and launches a precise elbow slice that checks drips of sweat like droplets of fate. Opening salvo. Lee darts forward. Low lead leg bent. Torso angled. Mid-fight flourish. The opponent swoops in with a leg kick combination. Lee catches the shin in a modified foot trap. Pivots 182, exit the clinch. Ground drama. A clinch spills against the fence. Lee executes a seamless underhook and elevate, lifting his foe for a cage slam that echoes hallowed judo. Final moments. In the championship round, both fighters are bloodied and breathless. In the aftermath, social media algorithms explode with highlights. Lee's 1-inch punch 2.0. When JKD meets MMA and Bruce Lee's KO in 2025, analysts pore over slow-motion frames. Coaches reverse engineer his biomechanics. And gyms worldwide integrate his adaptive philosophy into hybrid fight programs. But beyond the spectacle, Lee's true gift was inspiration. The idea that martial arts is not a rigid tradition, but a living, evolving conversation between bodies and minds. Ultimately, asking what if Bruce Lee fought today? ISNT, just a fantasy matchup at S. A reminder that the highest form of martial artistry transcends whether in a vintage dojo or a UFC octagon, Bruce Lee's spirit endures.